there may come a time, a few seasons down the line, where we look back at this match and it's SRH's batting performance and say that, yeah, they chased on 165 in 10 overs. That's what you're supposed to do in a T20. So I ask, given this performance and throughout the season, their performance with the bat, especially the openers, do you think this offers a kind of blueprint to what the other team should do?
Or perhaps also an idea as to where we are headed in T20 cricket. I mean, we've talked about this, Anirudh, in the past, that scores are being inflated to such, to the extent that the mind boggles. If 160 can be reached in 10 overs, then what is the limit? Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is also a blueprint. The manner in which Abhishek and Travis had went about the task of getting 160 and a little plus more than that, which is, everybody thought that this was a slow pitch where run making won't be so easy, and the way in which Lucknow had struggled to make runs, it seemed that this would actually be a competitive score, but it turned out to be just easy peasy for Head and for Abhishek. So one must give credit where it's due to the talent that Abhishek and Travis Head have, and the manner in which they played. The word which is being bandied about quite profusely in this season is fearless. But that is expected in this format. You have to bat fearlessly, otherwise why should we be playing this format? But to what extent fearless means you can scale over any score. So I think that I go back to my earlier arguments that I've made. Yes, all this is great to watch, is exhilarating, but it's just creating such a big mismatch between bat and ball. That is something that should worry the administrators of the game. And I think that things like increasing the boundary from 65, 68, sometimes even 58 yards to 72, 75 will actually bring down the scores and compel the batsmen to take risks, but be careful as to where and how they are playing. It won't be a free run to hit fours and sixes.
Yeah, so we saw the brilliant chase from SRH, but we also saw an unfortunate clip later after the match of the LSG owner, Mr. Goenka, getting what seemed to be getting into a heated argument with the captain KL Rahul. I mean, it was quite unpleasant to watch. And do you think, I mean, it's understandable that you're frustrated that your team keeled over without a fight, but then shouldn't this be kept indoors or behind closed doors?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We don't know the exact nature of the
Yeah,
conversation, but it looks
yeah,
very, very poor on camera. Certainly,
yeah,
when you look at it, and it's
yeah,
immediately after the match, and the gestures seem to suggest that there is unhappiness in the management. You've lost the match. I think passions are running high, as much for the management as well as for the players, and this is where I think the management needs to be a little more, may have a bigger vision or a broader vision. If the conversation was about how badly the team has played, yes, I mean that should be done indoors, not on the field of play. So I think that at the end of the day, there must be a certain understanding in owners and management that this is a sport. There will be bad days, there'll be off days. Even the best players will have an off day. If that becomes a consistent pattern, you've got the option to not renew the contract with a certain player or a captain or a bunch of players. There have been teams which have gone for an overall, including I think even Lucknow has had changes in the coaching staff and the support staff and the players. So these are things, you're right, these are things best handled out of the view of the camera, because it just sends very poor signals, not just to fans and cricket followers, but the players themselves. I mean, if the captain of the team is being hauled over the coals, the others are watching, and then what happens in the next match? I think that is something that should be considered very seriously by managements.
yeah. And talking of management off camera, we were talking, and you were telling me that there seems to be trouble brewing at MI also.
Yes, I mean, there's a story in the newspaper today, a national newspaper, which says that some senior players of MI have taken up the issue of Hardik's captaincy with the management. The attribution is not precise. There are no names mentioned apart from Hardik as a captain, and I think a couple of players, senior players, who've been mentioned in the story are Surya Kumar Yadav and Jasprit Bumrah. So, I mean, these are the two guys who, if you remember, when the change in captaincy took place, they put up those, emojis on social media suggesting that they were not entirely happy. Now, the point is, even MI has had a very poor season. They're out of the running completely for a place in the playoffs. The manner in which they've been losing, and ultimately, at the end of the day, the captaincy, the conversation will veer to the captaincy because he's a captain. I mean, in cricket, the captain is the one who is such a pivotal position. And the fact that Hardik has not had a great run as an all-rounder also adds to his woes. But the point I think is really, which is emerging, that I think that the transfer of captaincy, the shift from Rohit to Hardik, was in a way, it was a botch-up job. It could have been handled with far more finesse, which wasn't the case. The public sympathy is all with Rohit, as we know. Wherever they played, he's been received with a lot of applause. Hardik has come under fire. So I think because it was an unexpected transfer, shift in leadership. So I think that this is something also that managements will have to consider. It's not that fans will decide who will be the captain. The managements will decide. The owners of franchises will decide. But they will have, apart from taking cognizance of the results, they will also have to see how this, kind of percolates down to the fandom, as they call it. So I think it's been an unhappy outing for MI. I don't know what the consequences of, whether in fact there has been an official kind of missive sent to the management or not. This is a newspaper story. We'll have to wait and see what the developments are. But clearly, it's not been a happy season for MI.
Yep. As you mentioned, now MI have become the first team to be eliminated officially. And we talk about management, we talk about the change in captaincy, but on field, how would you sum up their season?
I mean, they've had actually a disastrous season, Anirudh, because they've had a few wins, they've had far more losses, and I think what will worry the players themselves, certainly the captain and obviously the management, is the manner of their defeats. They've been losing matches at Mumbai in their home ground, at the 1K day, which is unusual because they've been so good otherwise if you look at previous seasons. And when you look at the team on paper, this is the team to beat. I mean, didn't have a great season last year, I know. But when you look man for man, they seem to be the most powerful team on paper. Except perhaps maybe they could have done with an extra spinner of high quality, which they don't have. But otherwise, the batting lineup, the fast bowlers, and the track record of all these players, whether it's a Rohit Sharma or a Nishan Kishan or even a Hardik Pandya, these are proven match winners. Jasprit Bumrah, who's the only one who actually has completely lived up to his billing and perhaps a little more. And then there's Surya Kumar Yadav. I mean, for these guys to be losing so consistently has been a big letdown in the context of MI fans apart and the management apart. I think even from a tournament point of view, we expect a team like this to be much more competitive. So I think MI's early demise, so to speak, has not been unexpected given the trend since the start of the season. But it is a little disappointing in the context of the tournament as a whole because you thought that they will be there at least till the very end. That doesn't seem to be happening or will not happen.
Yep. Yeah. So as you're saying, taking the whole of the tournament, now we are moving towards the fag end of the tournament, and it's becoming clearer who will get through. But there is still a lot of exciting matches, especially when Sunrisers and KKR are in the top four. So yeah, so we'll keep bringing you the updates, and that's it for this episode of Sports Room. We'll see you next time.